I'm Danny, and today I will be reviewing A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So this portion of the video will be non-spoiler. I will let you know before the spoiler parts start, so you can stay for this part of the video if you just kind of want to know what it was about. This is about a 19-year-old girl named Feyre who, while hunting for her family, comes across a wolf who's hunting the same doe as she is. And so because she needs that doe so much for her family because they are starving, and because she can kind of use the wolf's hide, she decides to kill the wolf, not realizing that it is actually a high fae. The humans and the fairy about 500 years ago had this humongous war where the humans won, and they made a peace treaty with the fairies. They built a wall, and no one was to cross that wall in order to keep peace. Anyone who crossed over to fairy world was pretty much on their own, and any fairy that crossed over into the human world, again, on their own. But since the humans are pretty much scared of fairies, they pretty much would stay away from them anyway. And so the next night after she kills the wolf, a huge beast comes to her door demanding her life. Either comes with him to live across the wall in the fairylands, or he will kill her and most likely her family now. So Feyre, of course, decides she doesn't want her family killed, so she decides to go and live with the beast in his world. Now this book is a fairy tale retelling. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but of course, as Sarah does with all of her fairy tale retelling, she pretty much made it her own. You know, there's kind of the little basic stuff in there, but after that she just goes on her own. Now this book is a very good bridge between YA and new adult. It's still pretty YA, but it has certain aspects of new adult in there. You know, it lets you know that the character is no longer a girl. She is truly a woman. She has desires. So the beginning of this story does start out a little slow, and I can definitely understand why, because it is a lot of world building and history and kind of getting to not only know Feyre, but the new characters that are coming in and what Feyre's old life was like compared to now, and Feyre's family just a tiny bit. You don't see them very much in this book, but in the beginning, most of the beginning pages are about them. And you kind of get to know Feyre's new life versus her old life, but it was still entertaining at the same time. But after about the first 100 pages, the story really starts to pick up as you get to know more about the fairy world and everything. And if you consider how long this book is, I think this book is just a little over 400 pages, but you still get a lot of story in there. But those last 100 pages, oh my god, it went so fast. I didn't even believe that I had read 100 pages. I had literally had to go back and say, was that truly 100 pages? Did I miss a chunk of the book? And because it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, some things were a little predictable while other things were completely not. So, like I said, there were some basic things in here that you saw coming, you know, the beast showing up, going to live with the beast. And I did love seeing the alternate characters to the Beauty and the Beast people. You know, like Mrs. Potts was the character named Alice in this book. You know, Mrs. Potts, she's kind of motherly. She kind of took care of Beauty in Beauty and the Beast, and Alice kind of took care of Feyre. And what is it with Sarah's weird spelling of characters' name? Until I found out that there was a pronunciation index in the back of this book, I was almost wanted to say her name was Fairy, because that is literally how it is spelled. It almost looks like a slightly weird spelling of fairy. But some of the names you can kind of figure out what they want to say. I definitely recommend you pick this up. And this is book 1 of a 3-book trilogy, I believe, but I am picking up the next book. So that's all I can tell you for the non-spoiler part of this video. If you have not read it, you should definitely go read it. I gave this a 4-star rating on Goodreads, and I loved it so much. I think it was probably more of a 4.5. If it had that last little nudge, probably would have been a 5-star book for me. But it was just a 4-star, which is already great. Okay, that is it for the non-spoiler portion of this video. So if you have not read the book, and you do not want to be spoiled, you are going to have to go now. I'm sorry. Bye-bye. And so this non-spoiler section is not going to exactly be in order like the way the book was. It's probably going to be all over the place. So I'm going to try and keep my thoughts within the process of the way the book went, so that you're not jumping all over the place in your memory for those of you who have read it. So I'll try and keep it in order, but there's no guarantee. For those of you who have read the book and stay for my spoiler portion, let's talk. First off, one of the things that annoyed me the most, her sisters. Oh my god, I wanted to kill her sisters. I get Feyre promised her mother that she would take care of her family when her mother died, and then her father lost all his money, and then her sisters by the time the story comes in, they have been poor for years. I mean, Feyre said that the last time that when they were rich, Feyre was like, I don't know, 7 years old, something like that. And Feyre's 19 now, so that is over 10 years. They have been living in poverty for 10 years. You think in that amount of time, not only would they have learned to hunt, because Feyre is the youngest sister, the youngest. I mean, that is like having your little brother or sister go out into the deadly forest where they could be killed at any second and have them bring you back food, and then you complain about everything. They ask you to go chop some wood because they did, not only did they hunt the food, but they skinned it, prepared the meat, then cooked it. And all they ask you to do is, could you go outside and chop some firewood so that we can cook the food? It just put food on your table. The least you could do is say thank you and go chop the freaking wood. The beginning of the book, when her sisters were in there, I wanted to smack them so hard, shake them and tell them, you know what? This is my last time hunting. You are going out to hunt. Or if I'm going out to hunt, you will prepare and cook the meat. You are going to do something. But the whole beginning of the book, all they could do was complain. You know, this is all you brought us? That's all we get? Hey, are you going to get some money for that hide? Can we get some? She's getting money for the hide to put more food on your table. I want to smack them and choke them. So, yeah, I did not like her sisters at the beginning of the book at all. My favorite scenes. Some of my favorite scenes were the fire night, especially what happened after Feyre got back to the castle. You know, she went there and she kind of got an idea why he told her, even though she snuck out after he told her not to. I mean, he hadn't lied to her so far. Why would she sneak out? Although I am kind of glad that she did. You know, it gave you more insight into the whole fairy world, what their world is like, and some of what their magic is like, because as we know, their magic has been seriously reduced. And then of course the after scene, you know, like when she finally gets back to the castle, but she decides to go out anyway in the middle of the night for a cookie, even though she was told to stay in her room. I love that entire thing when Tamlin caught her, and from the pinning of the wall to the bite, and oh, I loved it. I get Feyre was pretty ticked. I mean, I'd probably be ticked too if some guy I just barely knew started biting on me, but oh, I loved it. The things that he told her, if you've read the book, you know the things he told her. Oh, and then there was the lake made out of starlight. Oh, that was so cute. And pretty much any fluffy moment between Tamlin and Feyre, oh, I love those moments so much. It was so good. It didn't feel, some books, when the romance kind of starts between the two characters, especially when they don't like each other in the beginning of the book, it feels kind of forced. But with Sarah's books, it doesn't feel forced at all. Oh, and when it came to the fairy, I think it was the summer court fairy, but when the fairy whose wings had been ripped off, and Feyre stayed with him even though she despised fairies. Oh, I started tearing up for the poor fairy. I mean, that's like having your legs being ripped off and then tossed into someone else's territory. Oh, and how Feyre comforted him even when she knew what most of she was saying was probably not true, like how he would probably get his wings back in the next life. Oh, and then how Tamlin started to see kind of a new side of her. And oh, that is where I believe their relationship truly started to grow. Okay, the riddle that Amarantha, I can never pronounce her name right. The riddle she gave her, you know, during, you know, like she said, if you can either pass 3 trials or figure out this riddle. If you figure out this riddle, I'll let you go immediately. If you pass the trials, I'll let you guys go. And so that riddle, once she said it, it kind of popped immediately to my head. Was there anyone else who has read the book who did not know what the riddle was? Because I kind of figured out straight away, because that was pretty much like instant. I knew what it was. I kind of guessed when she said she was going to give her a riddle that might have been the answer. Although I was thinking it might be something else, I would be racking my brain for the entire rest of the book. But it was pretty simple. Okay, Rhysand. I have a major problem with Rhysand. I mean, I get some people for some reason are shipping him, although I don't get what there's an idea to ship. She can't stand him, and after they made that deal, she's going to be forced to spend a week out of every month with him, and I'm sure she's going to hate those as well. But I'm sure because she's now a fairy, something about her will change and there probably will be a love triangle. But I'm still for Team Tamlin. I have a serious problem with him drugging her. I mean, she refused the fairy wine, but he kept making her drink it every night. And poor Feyre, I can't imagine the mental torture it must be like. Well, we got some idea, but I can't imagine what it truly would feel like to know that you're drinking something every night, not having a clue what's happening to you the whole night, and then the next morning you wake up sick from the fairy wine that you were forced to drink. I mean, she knows for a fact that she was forced to dance with him, although you can probably call it more grinding on him all night and sitting in his lap. Poor Tamlin having to sit there and watch that. And poor Feyre, God only knows, like, she has no idea what the heck anyone did to her. She got that Rhysand put those things on her so that no one could touch her but him without, like, smearing them. But what did he do to her? He says he didn't do anything, but do we truly know? The Rhysand has definitely not been the most helpful or honest. He did heal her. He had an agenda there. He wanted out from under Amarantha, as did all the fairies who weren't on her side. Although I'm sure the fairies who were on her side wanted out of her hold also. She was not quite like a big villain. She was kind of like a fill-in for a bigger villain coming on. You know, she was bad, but she didn't exactly get enough time to hate her. While you got a lot more time with Rhysand, which is one of the reasons I really don't like him. I wouldn't have liked him very much just for one, trying to kill Feyre towards the like the middle part of the book, and then drugging her every night for what, 3 months? Poor Feyre. And I just don't understand Team Rhys. There can be no team, especially at this point. Feyre can't stand him, like I said before, so there truly is nothing for a team. So of course, like I said, I don't get Team Rhys. I don't think there even should be a Team Rhys, especially at this point when Feyre doesn't even like him. Okay, anyway, so that thing that happened at the end of the book, you know, where he looks at her and gets all shocked, some people suspect that something, like he saw something in her, something happened, and he's gonna try and be with her now. So I really hope not. I really do, because I can't stand the man. Anyway, moving on. So the very last trial where she had to, you know, stab the people. I can't imagine the mental guilt she must feel for that, having to kill 2 innocent people that you've never met and 1 person she has met. That's truly all I can say. Poor Feyre. I probably couldn't have done it, especially that person that I already knew. I thought that the last person she had to stab was going to be Alice. I truly did, but it turned out not to be. And I love the part where they would say things when they knew she was eavesdropping. Even though they couldn't tell her to her face, they made sure she still heard certain things. I mean, they would talk purposely about certain things or hint certain things in their conversations, even though they knew she was eavesdropping, because they could not tell her because of that dang curse. Last but not least, things I'm expecting from the next book. Feyre to learn her new body and all her new powers. Of course, spending a week whenever Rhys chooses in his court. God only knows what kind of torture she'll be put through there, because he's from the Night Court, I want to say. Something like that. Either way, it's a very dark court, as we can tell. He's the High Lord of it. Like Tamlin. Tamlin's the High Lord of the Spring Court, and he's very sweet and romantic, and he's like perfect. He's the perfect guy. And then Rhys is very dark and manipulative, and I'd say borderline evil. He probably is evil. God only knows what he's gonna do in the next book. And of course the king from that stranded island across the ocean. I'm expecting him to come into play, or at the very least for him to start trying to take over human world. I gave this a 4-star rating on Goodreads, and I definitely recommend you pick it up if you have not yet. Well, that is my review for A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!